Today we will discuss about the application of natural rubber, and this class is for third sem electrical students. The courses is diploma, and we will discuss today about the application of natural rubber. So the application of natural rubber is in a very limited use, which is in wires, conductors, and for low voltage operations. So we will also discuss about the hard rubber. So in a hard rubber, it is the increased sulfur content and extended vulcanization treatment. So that makes the rubber more hard, or the hard rubber is manufactured by extending the vulcanization treatment. The properties of hard rubber are given in the table. The material is characterized by good electrical properties and high tensile strength. The maximum permissible operating temperature uh, by good electrical properties and high tensile strength. So it is having a good tensile strength as well as its electrical properties are also satisfactory. Maximum permissible operating temperature is 60 degree. So if we will go beyond this prescribed temperature, then it may not work satisfactorily, it may cause failure also. So you should strictly follow the temperature limits. So continued exposure to sun is harmful, because if you will perform or use it in the or in the outside atmosphere where it is exposed to sunlights, then it may not be able to sustain such kind of high temperatures, and as a result it will get failure in its operation, or we will have to we will have a discontinuity of its service. Now application of hard rubber. Students, the application of hard rubber, as though we understood that it is a insulating material, so where this kind of material is used is very important. So it find use in construction of storage battery housings, panel board, bushing of various types of synthetic rubbers, so various types of etc. So for your battery storage also, and for bushing purpose they are found. Now we will discuss about synthetic rubbers. Butadiene rubbers. Copolymerization of butadiene and styrene produces styrene butadiene rubber, or SBR. SBR compared to natural rubber is characterized as follows. So it will be characterized by greater resistance to aging and oxidation. So after using it for number of, you can say number of times, you can say, or for longer duration also, then also it will not show any aging effect. Aging means the property by which a material loses its property after a long duration of time. It is also resistance to oxidations. Its character is also lower tensile and strong strength. It has lower water absorption, so it is very good as far as our electrical requirement or insulating properties is concerned. So it is having lower water absorption. It is also characterized by high heat conductivity. That means it can tolerate high amount of heat also. So these all things are desirable from the electrical point of view. Now nitrile butadiene rubber, NBR, compared to natural rubber is characterized as below. So we will now discuss their characteristics. They are having greater stability at elevated temperature. What do you mean by elevated temperature? The temperature which are increasing steeply can be called as elevated temperature. Now greater abrasion resistance and tensile strength. They are also characterized by greater resistance toward absorption of common gases. Now students, the next topic which we will discuss is butyl rubber. So it is also an insulating material. It is prepared by low temperature copolymerization of isobutylene and small amount of isoprene. They have the features of butyl rubber and they are as below. They are easily attacked by petroleum oils and greases. So if this kind of insulating material, that is your butyl rubber, is used in the area or where it is exposed to petroleum oils or grease, it may damage its insulating property. So we should not use in the areas where the material is exposed by petroleum or oil or maybe grease also. So petroleum products should be avoided as far as possible by using this kind of insulating materials, but offer excellent resistance to vegetable oil. So already we know that there are vegetable oils also, synthetic oil also, mineral oil also. So there are varieties of oil which are used as insulating material. So if we will use vegetable oil, then there is no risk to this kind of insulating material. They will serve according to their insulating behaviors. Now also they are resistant to alcoholic solvents. They also possess high resistance to ozone, high thermal and oxidation stability, and low gas permeability. They also possess tensile strength of butyl rubber is poorer than the natural rubber. So you should remember the tensile strength of your butyl rubber is poorer or less as compared to your natural rubber. Chloroprene rubber. Now the chloroprene rubber is also called as neoprene. It is prepared by the emulsion polymerization of chloroprene with or without the presence of a copolymer. The general properties of chloroprene rubber is as in the table shown. Other main features of this class as compared to natural rubber are here. So what are their you can say its features are listed. They possess better resistance to thermal aging, oxidation, sunlight and gas diffusion. So this is the property by which they should be, or you should remember this property so as to use this material wherever you find it desirable. The next point is they have better thermal conductivity and are more flame resistant. This neoprene are resistant to flame also. So this is the table. You should remember some of them like this. Let me show you by this brush. This natural rubber, hard rubber, and neoprene. Right, at least three of them you should try to remember, and some of the specific points only. So let me tell you also what are the points which are essential. So the specific gravity should be remembered. Water absorption also is essential. Dielectric constant and dielectric strength. These things should be remembered by you so that you can answer them in your exam also, and it is also sometimes desirable that you should have the knowledge of these values. So moving to the next topic now. So the other characteristics are they possess better resistance to attack by solvents like mineral and vegetable oil, but poor resistance to aromatic hydrogen liquids. They exhibit better adhesion to metal. They are inferior in mechanical properties like tear and tensile strength and abrasion resistance. So what are the application of neoprene rubber we will now discuss. So students, neoprene rubber have been used as insulating material for wires and conductors. So there is hypalone, which is also known as your chlorosulfonated polythene. The process of chlorosulfonization of polythene produces this rubber. Hypalone contains about 29% of chlorine and 1.25% of sulfur. So it is the composition of hypalone. You should remember the composition. The 29% is chlorine and 1.25% is sulfur. Its properties are as below. It possesses high resistance to degradation when exposed to high temperature and oxidation. The electrical properties are just satisfactory. It can be operated at a temperature as high as 150 degrees centigrades. So look, the temperature which it allows is about 150 degrees centigrade. So it is quite a very high value of temperature. So up to this value of temperature we can use this hypalone. The next property is lead oxide cured polychlorosulfonated ethylene possess a very good resistance to water. So they are also water resistance also. So it is also a very good characteristics of the material as far as your electrical point of view is concerned. Now it is a poor solvent, resistant to aromatic hydrocarbons. Its application are, they are used as insulating material and jacketing of electric wires and cables. You know, jacketing means it's the outering covering or outer covering of a electrical material or the cables. Here, silicon rubber are polysiloxanes. The outstanding properties of them are as follow. Now the silicon rubber, we will read its properties. Silicon rubber possesses thermal conductivity twice that of the natural rubber. Right. So the what do you say? Its conductivity, thermal conductivity is twice as that of the natural rubber. So its value is quite high. Now the tensile strength of this material is low, but stability at high temperature is remarkable. So that means though its tensile strength is less, but the amount of temperature which it can tolerate and also it is stable at that temperature is very appreciable or remarkable, that can be used in the field of electrical energy with a very reliable form. Now they exhibit good flexibility at low temperature. Up to 60 degree to adequate flexibility is available. So the temperature ranges which it provides is very flexible, and we can use this material even up to 60 degree centigrade to adequate flexibility which is desirable to us. They are exceptionally resistant to ozone, oxidation and sorb at atmospheric conditions. Silicon rubber have exceptionally good electrical properties. Also, ability of electrical properties at different temperature is noteworthy. Their operating temperature range is very wide, stretching from 60 degree to 150 degree centigrade. So the operating temperature lies from 60 degree centigrade to 150 degree centigrade, makes it to use them in a wide range of applications. So now we'll read about its application. Application of silicon rubber. Silicon rubber is used as a insulating or insulation for electric wire and cables, in the manufacturer molded parts, as an insulating tape and coating material, etc. Insulating resins and their products. Now students, will discuss about some of the insulating resins and their product. In the preceding section or the earlier section, we have studied different types of insulating material. A thorough look into the list of the materials studied reveals an interesting fact. These materials are of two types. First type is the naturally occurring materials like air, mica, asbestos. There are also several other kinds of insulating material, but we have compared the insulating material like air, which was earlier used. No doubt it is used till now also, but we have changed the medium from air to other medium which can quench the arc and can make the switching on or off of a circuit breaker and perform insulating properties effectively. Now the other types is those which are easily derived from nature, like cellulose, vulcanized rubber, ceramics, mineral oil, etc. So these are some of the material which are derived from the nature directly. The process of development of insulating material is very logical. In the beginning, natural insulating materials were made use of demands of higher operating temperatures and voltage brought and other type of material, that is those which are easily derived from nature. With few exceptions, these materials also could not keep pace with the exacting requirement of varied application of present day. Insulating plastics made rapid strides from 1935 onwards and have almost revolutionized insulating or insulation technology. So, with the invention of this plastic technology, things have changed. By the invention of this plastic, we have gone or we have used this plastic almost in every place. Natural insulating materials and materials derived from nature are facing a challenge. So, the natural insulating material which were used earlier, we are now substituting them by the you can say plastic materials or plastics. The use of plastic insulating material is so common that it amounts perhaps to more than that of the use of all other insulating materials combined together. So, if we will consider the use of plastic, it is almost omnivorous. That means it is used almost in every place in the field of electrical engineering, and we have just skipped the use of your naturally occurring your insulating materials. Plastics are organic material of higher molecular weight and are capable of being formed into a desired shape during or after their manufacture. However, organic materials may not be the sole constituent of plastics. The term plastic is very frequently in common terminology even for materials which are not really plastic if viewed from the definition given above. Resin is the substitute word normally used in insulating technology in place of plastic. So, wherever you will find resin, that means it is the substitute for your plastic. So, plastic or resin can be of two types: natural resins, synthetic resin. Now we will discuss about natural resins. So, they are derived from plant and animal sources. Simple purification or sometimes a little chemical modification is all that is required to make use of natural resin is in electrical installation or insulation. So the property of a few main electrical resins are as in the table. So now there is the table. You can find the specific gravity of amber, wood resins and shellac. So the melting point, softening temperature, also the dielectric constant and dielectric strength is given in the table. So these values you should uh, you should uh, you should remember some of them, not total table. You should remember like the specific gravity, melting point is also essential, you should remember it, and dielectric strength and caution, both of them. You should try to remember. Now the application of natural resins. CELAC finds its use as binder materials in the manufacturing of mica tapes, commutator insulation, etc. Wood resins is used for paint and varnish application. It is also used as thickening agent for the manufacture of mineral insulating oil, which are used for the impregnation of a paper insulated power cables. Now, synthetic resins. Synthetic resins are made by the recurring chemical reaction of a simple organic compound combined together to form a high molecular weight composition. Resins are more rightly termed as resin polymer. The recurring chemical reaction by which molecule combine to give a high molecular weight composition is called polymerization. So you should remember polymerization, the definition of polymerization. It is quite frequently asked in your exams, that you have to define polymerization. So polymerization of simple compounds can take place in two ways. So the number one or the first way is when reacting organic materials combine with each other without the evolution, when reacting organic materials of a byproduct and the molecular weight of the product is a multiple of that of the original reaction molecule. The process is called additional polymerization. Example: the formation of polystyrene and ethylene. The second way is when the reacting molecules combine in such a way that there is evolution of a byproduct of the molecular weight like water, and the process is called condensation polymerization. So the example are the formation of phenol formaldehyde resins and polyester resins. Molecular weight of natural and synthetic resin polymers are as shown in the figure or your table. So the polymer molecular weight is given. So there are different polymers like cellulose, natural rubber, polystyrene, PVC or polyvinyl chloride. It is shortly abbreviated as PVC, polyethylene and nylon. So the molecular weight is given, corresponding values are given now. Now let us review polymers from molecular construction point of view. From the molecular construction of view, let us review the polymers. The reaction in both types of polymerization may be either linear or spatial. In linear polymers, the molecules are bonded in a thread-like structures on a two-dimensional plane. Thermoplastics belong to this category of polymers. Linear polymers are characterized by good solubility, good insulating properties, capability of fiber formation, flexibility and elasticity. They are also possessed by low hygroscopicity and poor mechanical properties. Spatial polymers are more complex and contains molecules bonded in space, that is they are in 3 dimension. Thermosets belong to this category. Spatial polymers are characterized by insolubility, poor insulating properties, hardness and brittleness, not capable of fiber formation, good mechanical properties and high hygroscopicity. So students, there is the classification of your natural resins. So these are thermoplastics. So what are the different types of thermoplastic? They are cellulose derivatives or cellulose acetate, cellulose nitrate, cellulose ether, cellulose propionate. The second type of thermoplastics are polyhydrocarbons. These are polyethylene, polytetrafluoroethylene, polystyrene, polypropylene. The third one is your vinyl polymers, polyvinyl acetate, polyvinyl chloride, polyvinyl alcohol, polyamides, etc. So the fourth one is your polycarbonate resins, and the fifth one is your linear polyester resins. Similarly, in thermoset you will have formaldehyde resins, phenol formaldehyde, urea formaldehyde, melamine resins, etc. And the second type of thermosets are polyester resin, epoxy resin, silicon resin, and polyurethane resins. So these are the different types of your thermoplastics and thermosets. Now we will before studying the individual resin polymer, it is necessary to mention that study of all the plastic material in use at present is beyond the scope of this book. So there are I mean the polymers or the resin polymers, if you will read or we will elaborate them, it is very vast. So your course do not offer those things you should know, but we have a limited course, so we will be understanding only the parts which is essential in our syllabus. So now we will discuss about thermoplast resins. Under this resins we shall discuss thermoplastic class of material and are listed as in table. Plastic materials which soften and melt reversibly when heated and retain certain flexibility are called thermoplastics. So after heating they can again get back to their original positions. So those kind of material can be called as your thermoplastics. They are produced artificially from organic substance like oil and coal products. Fillers like soot, mica, textile, wood, glass fibers are often added to achieve certain desired properties. Main thermoplast resins are discussed as follow. So the thermoplast which are used we will discuss in our next class. So you go through this video, and if you have any doubt, do ask us. Thank you.